in. And so I think it goes there. And so I'll be actually kind of interested. My wife and I, we bought, the soundtrack for the first movie. And I have to admit, I was dancing in my car to some of the songs.
You danced in your car to Spice Girls.
No, I wouldn't actually do that, but it's the Jackson 5 is pretty close, so.
No, it had a very unique soundtrack, though.
I mean,
but I do hope. Yes, the name obviously sounds like the soundtrack, but I hope they put more thought into the movie, into the script, than anything. I don't care so often what they call a movie. It's the acting, the storyline, the script, everything that's in the movie that I think means more.
Well, the director, who's also one of the writers, often he said that this will be a bigger story, but it'll be a smaller story. And what he meant by that was that, it's going to be a much more personal, much more emotional story. It's going to be a story about fathers. So I think, we're going to find out a lot more about, Gamora's relationship with Thanos. We'll probably, if we don't, discover who he is, we'll probably, hear a lot more about Peter Quill's father more in this. And who knows? I mean, we know that Drax was a father and his, wife and daughter were murdered. So, I mean, if they're serious about this, this could be a very emotional story. And I
like emotional stories when it comes to comics. It gives it a little bit more emotion and feeling. That's why we love the comics so much.
And incidentally, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy has went off and has actually he saw Ant-Man, and he's actually said that in his mind it's the best movie that Marvel has put out since the original Iron Man.
Yeah, I actually watched some of the premiere for the movie last night, I believe it was. The amount of people coming in who were talking about it, the amount of people who left talking about it was extraordinary. From what I've heard, Ant-Man has been done better than anyone has ever expected, than anyone could ever hope for.
And I'm kind of quite excited about this rumor that there is talk that if Ant-Man does well,
which it will,
they will go off and will do a prequel about
Hank Pym,
Henry Pym and Wasp. So the original Ant-Man and Wasp would probably be in the story.
Did I get their name wrong?
Or Henry Pym,
Okay.
Also known sometimes as Hank. I don't think. Well, actually, I think it's Henry because usually when they say Hank, they mean Hank McCoy.
Well, I know in the TV shows they used to always call him Hank.
Yeah, it's Henry Hank.
Unless I was half asleep and I don't know. I barely notice the names anymore. They get all the same. We've had so many different Ant-Man, but the action scenes in this look extraordinary. They've taken a lot of effort in it. They've hyped it so much. I really hope it lives up to the hype.
Also, do I. I mean, this is probably the last movie of the year I'm really anticipating until Star Wars.
Yeah. They've also announced recently that the director or producer of Suicide Squad has hired an on-set therapist.
Which actually, he's really not truly a therapist, from what I understand. He's more of like a life coach.
But it's still a smart move after what happened to, Heath Ledger, and then when you look at what Jared Leto is doing, it's the smartest move.
And what the director and the Rain team has really been trying to get all the actors is pretty much to push them almost to the breaking point to get the best performances out of them.
I think that's where Hollywood's starting to go wrong. We're putting people's lives at risk just for better movies.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you think about it, it's a comic book movie.
Yeah.
And while comic book movies can be really good, let's face it, let's look at the source material here. I mean, it's, comic books aren't Shakespeare. We're not talking about, like, stuff written by, like, Mark Twain or, Jack London or something. We're talking about... But, I mean, it's still...
But we live in a society where things have to be darker and more terrifying, and it started to kind of push boundaries way too much.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it drives me crazy to see how much difference, from when I was a kid to, an adult. I mean, I watched some, like, old horror movies that we saw when we were, like, kids. And, compared to... Nowadays, I mean, they wouldn't even flinch.
No, that's true.
I have a friend of mine who's just huge into, horror movies. And he actually, though, he has kind of the opposite, where he just thinks that all horror movies that have come out since, like, 1990 are crap. So, I mean...
Well, and I don't necessarily agree that all movies since 1990 are crap.
We're talking about horror movies here.
But, horror movies, no, but they're not far off of the crap persona. They're so mild and, like, they're more for blood and guts and less mystery and suspense, and, it's taken in a whole different genre and a whole different pathway.
And someday we'll probably have to go off and actually do a special on horror movies, and actually
probably around Halloween is definitely the best time.
And I'll actually see if I could get my friend to come in and just let you two just go off and talk about it, and I'll just sit back.
I'm okay with that special guest.
Yeah, we'll see if we can fit him in on his busy schedule, because
only if we can muzzle him a little bit during the show.
I don't know if that's possible.
We may have to rate that one explicit.
Yeah, that might be an episode that my wife will not be able to play for my 2-year-old son.
I agree. That will be a very explicit show. Probably one that I will potentially enjoy. This is a guy we love to rib each other. We love to argue and debate movies and sports. He still cheers for a sucky football team. His hockey team's okay.
No, his hockey team's not okay.
Right? He cheers for Toronto.
He cheers for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, his team sucks.
Actually, he also cheers for the Winnipeg Jets.
Which, you know what? Awesome. If this was a sports show, I'd have lots to talk about.
Yeah, no kidding. Although, I think at some point we were talking about possibly doing some sort of sports show, which we would then actually film, and we could actually put on our YouTube page.
Yeah, no. Anytime if we do sports, which this season may have a few, especially since Winnipeg is hosting the Grey Cup this year, that'll be a very unique one. Usually good for the city. Maybe not so much Winnipeg. They don't seem to know how to host a party properly. But they're still better than Toronto. Toronto didn't even know the Grey Cup was going on. But yeah, we'll tape that. That will be live, which means I actually have to dress up. Damn.
Well, I don't know if we'll do it live, but if we do a sports show...
Well, no, it will be videotaped, so that means I still have to dress up.
But it will be great because I won't actually be on in front of the camera. I'll probably be behind the camera.
Yeah, it'll be a one-man show.
Well, if you
I'll get a special guest.
You should get a couple of your buddies.
It'll be a puppet. Yeah, we'll have our own sports station show.
Station show.
We will be the SSS.
That does not sound...
Wow.
that sounds a little communist, if you ask me.
No, that's the USSR. I'm the SSS.
Yes, SS. Okay. Okay, we need to really wrap this show up. So, we'll start by just reminding you can go back and you can check out all of our old episodes of our podcast on Spreaker.com. You can, if you go on to...
Or on YouTube.
Or on YouTube, yes. You look up the Captain Fizz and Mask Guy podcast, and you'll be able to find it there.
Our last episode was probably by far one of our best episodes ever.
And I probably would disagree with you. It's probably the only episode so far I haven't actually went back to re-listen to. So you might be right on this, but I would argue.
I was watching it last night, and I got about halfway, and I couldn't stop laughing at myself.
That's not usually a good thing. You're not supposed to make yourself laugh.
It's very rare that I admit that I have a little dingy. That was the...
Lord, I apologize. Okay, so I'm not sure at this point when we will be bringing in the next episode.
Probably on Friday. Fridays seem to be the best days.
Friday, so that would be in like 2 days' time.
Yeah, 2 days' time.
So we will definitely work towards bringing together another podcast.
We figured it was better to have it today on Canada Day as a special Canada Day celebration. Yes. Happy Canada Day!
Happy Canada Day! So, in closing, you can
follow us on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter. Yes.
Sorry, I thought you were giving your lines.
You can. You can follow me at that mask guy on Twitter. You can follow this hoser over here. Hoser.
At real CAPT Fizz. At real Captain Fizz. I've had tons of followers. I love you all.
And you can follow us on our show's official Twitter account.
Dun, dun, dun.
At Fizz Masked Show. You also can find us on Facebook. Look up the Captain Fizz and Mask Guy Show.
Yeah, on Twitter, you'll actually, if you watch carefully enough, him and I batter each other with our accounts.
Well, we go off and we do discuss. And if you want links to either our YouTube account or to our Spreaker podcasts, look for it on our official Twitter account, which again is at FizzMasked Show.
Yeah, everything will be posted on there.
We're also on Google as well. Google.
Apparently, we're on Google.
We're apparently on Google Plus. I think I had to go up and set up a Google Plus account when we set up the YouTube account, but we don't actually use it. So
I forgot what Google's for.
And so if you look up, you might actually find us there. I'm trying to remember. I can't even remember what the name I used for that account was.
YouTube and Twitter is more important. We're a UTwit. Anyways, closing thoughts.
You twit face.
You twit face.
Yeah, that's when.
Wow, that's my best insult yet.
Well, no, that's what would happen if if YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter were all to come together. It would be called You Twit Face.
Or Face You Twit.
Thank you, Yoda. Okay, so until next time.
Wow, he can't even say his own line.
Until next time, and in between time, good night, God bless, and may the Force be with you.
He thinks he knows what I'm going to say.
No, I don't. That's what scares me.
He thinks I know what I'm going to say.
That scares me even more.
I have to go back to a classic. Beep 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 beep. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Most offensive saying ever. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, and see you Friday.